All right, last week I gave you a little bit of my Go history, and I there was a part of it that kind of bothered me a little bit because I told you that I started off on OGS at like 10Q, and that is just really suspicious to me. I'm not really sure why, but 10Q seems pretty strong to be starting off on OGS with the amount of experience that I had. So I was wondering if there was some kind of rank fishiness going on with OGS. I did like a quick review of someone who was like stuck in DDK, and I felt they were playing stronger than I was playing at 10Q, and I look at my 10Q games on OGS. So I'm not sure if there's something weird going on, but I didn't really. There's really no way for me to confirm whether or not there was. At the time, I was like 13Q because they had not shifted the OGS rating calculations yet. And that felt more like my skill level. But looking back on it historically, they have adjusted all those ranks. And those first few games that I played were at apparently 10Q. But I don't know. Maybe there's something weird going on. Maybe I really was 10Q, but it's just kind of weird. I didn't feel like I was very experienced at the game at the time. But anyway, imagine we had like a program that could just look at an SGF file and estimate what level the player is at, or if they took like a bunch of SGF files and you specified which player is the one you're analyzing, and if it could tell you what rank you're at that level of play, that would be pretty cool. And hopefully maybe in the future we can get something like that. Welcome to Starpoint, the show about Go for Go fans away from the board. And I want to start today's episode off with a little bit of a pop quiz. It's going to be easy for some of you and obvious. Some of you that have studied this already and know this, you'll get it instantly. Others may struggle. Others may just absolutely have no idea. So let's see how you do. It's going to be 2 questions, and it's a life and death situation. And you may be thinking, well, how am I going to do this life and death problem without a board to look at? Well, it's a pretty simple shape, so hopefully I can try to accurately describe it to you. All right, for the first question, imagine 6 points on the board in the corner. 6 points, 6 empty points, completely surrounded by, let's say, black stones. And this 6 points is not in a line, it's in a 3x2 arrangement, so kind of more like a rectangular shape. So 6 points of empty, or 6 empty points in a 3x2 arrangement in the corner of the board, completely surrounded by a single color. And this shape has no weaknesses. There's nothing fishy going on. All the stones are solidly connected, and they're perfectly enclosing this shape of 3x2. All right, you with me so far? Okay, so just imagine it's kind of like 2 walls of stones that enclose a 3x2 shape in the corner of the board. That's the shape. And the question is, what is the status of this group? It's going to be A, alive, B, dead, C, co, or D, it depends on the outside liberties. And for the purposes of this question, alive means that if white were to play and try to kill this group, black would have a response to keep it alive. So even if it's white's turn, it's still alive. That's what A, alive means. So the answers, or so the choices were A, alive, B, dead, C, co, and D, it depends on the outside liberties. Take a mental note of your answer, and I'll tell you the answer later after I give you the second question. So the second question is like the first, and you're going to have the same 3x2 arrangement of empty points, but instead of in the corner, it's on the side of the board, with the 3 points along the side of the board, right? So it's not going to be like this tall shape with like the 3 points sticking out towards Tengen, but rather the 3 is sitting on the base of the side of the board, and then it's 2 points high. And so you're going to have to add one more wall for this group, and it's going to be the exact same rectangle. And again, no weaknesses, no funny business. They're all solidly connected. And so it's a 3-wall shape along the side of the board in a 3x2, it encloses an empty 3x2 set of empty points. Okay? I'm not going to be doing this often. This is very difficult to explain, and hopefully you're following along visually as I try to explain a Go board to you through just the media of audio. Now, this shape that is on the side of the board, the same question. What is the status of the shape? Is it alive? A, alive. B, dead. C, co. Or D, depends on the outside liberties. All right, so that's the pop quiz. Let me know, or no, don't let me know. Oh yeah, let me know how you did on the quiz after I just reveal the answer right now. The answers for the answer for the first question is D, depends on the outside liberties. So this is a very, very basic shape that you can study. It has a killing move in the middle there somewhere, and when black tries to make a second eye, and all the outside liberties are filled in, it becomes a self Atari, and black is unable to make a second eye, and it's dead. But if black has at least one outside liberty, then black can make that second eye, and if Atari can capture that initial killing move stone. So if you don't know this corner 6 shape, I highly recommend studying it. There's really not any variations to go over. It's just the vital point and then the follow-up to it. And it's pretty good to know. Hey, future Justin here. And man, I really don't know my life and death. I was flipping through my encyclopedia of life and death, and I was looking at this shape again, and I realized that if you have one outside liberty, then it's actually a one-step ko. White can make it into a one-step ko, and if you have more than one outside liberty, then yes, it is black can live no matter what white tries to do. But I totally didn't even realize that there was this ko in there, and it just goes to show how much of a long way I have to go. Anyway, back to the episode. Now the next question, the same situation on the side of the board. The answer to this one is A, alive. If it's not on the corner of the board and you have 3 walls surrounding 6 points and a 3x2, that shape is alive regardless of how many liberties are filled on the outside. And you can go ahead and experiment with the stones on your board and try to figure out why, but this is something that I didn't know. And you might be wondering, how did you not know this shape was alive? And how did you get so far in your Go career without knowing this? I don't know. There's a lot of holes in my knowledge. That's why I'm at the level I'm at. I may know some things. I also don't know others. And I think that the road to One Dan is essentially filling up all these holes of knowledge. And I only learned this because I started reviewing my games again. And you may also wonder, Justin, how did you get to your level without reviewing your games? Well, the answer is that I did review my games, but I stopped reviewing my games at a certain point, and now I'm trying to get back into it. And this shape came up, I'm going to call it the side 6. It came up in my game, and I played a less than efficient move because I wasn't sure if it was alive or not, because I had known the corner 6 and that there was some fishiness with the outside liberties. So I was a little scared. Like, is this the same situation here on the side or not? And I played a less efficient move. Now, this isn't the move that cost me the game. I lost for other reasons, but this is a basic thing that you can study pretty quickly and understand right away. And I was happy to review that part of my game and learn something new. And I wanted to share this with you. Hopefully that was not too confusing to try to imagine all the stones on the board through just words in a podcast. But speaking of reviewing games, I wanted to share with you all my process that I've developed over the years of reviewing my own games. A lot of people emphasize reviewing your own games as one of the most important things you can do to improve, but I don't think a lot of people talk about how you should do that. And hopefully by sharing this step-by-step process to you, I can help some of you develop your own process to best review your own games and learn from them. So step one to the review process is the game itself, and the step is to play a good game. Now, what do I mean by a good game? Well, first of all, if you're going to play a game you want to learn the most from, you should try your best at that game. You should have enough mental energy and focus and care for that game to put in the best moves that you can put in. If you're sleepy and you've been stressed and it's late and you're not yourself and you play a sloppy game, that game may not have the most meat to harvest for your learning experience. You may look at a bunch of those moves and they're just low quality moves, and you could have done better, and you know better. And so you don't want to play a sloppy game. You want to put care into your game. And I think the best measure of whether you've played a quote unquote good game or not is that you don't know why you lost. If you can play a game through and you can't find your own mistakes, that's a good game, I think. I think you've tried to play to the best of your ability, and you would find a lot of value in reviewing that and thinking a little harder about what you could have done better. A bad game would be, let's say that you did try your best and you did put a lot of focus and care into your game, but it was spoiled. Let's say at the very end of the game, you made this outrageous self-Atari and lost all your stones, and you know why that's a bad move. You know you shouldn't have done that. You just slipped up. And that may not be the best kind of game. Of course, every game is going to have stuff you can learn from it, but that may not be the best kind of game to review because you completely understand right away what you did wrong, and you know that there's nothing you could learn from it other than next time just be more careful. And this can happen in a variety of ways, right? You may just make really silly mistakes. I remember I went through a period of time where I was making a lot of snapback errors. I didn't really have a feel for snapback, and I would get snapbacked all the time, and I would just lose out on the game because I didn't know how to read those snapbacks. And so it's like these things I understood why I lost completely. These are very tangible tactical errors. So with these games, you kind of need to just get more experience. You could maybe focus on it and do some problems that directly let you practice on those. But a lot of the improvement that we're going to need to go through are just going to be things that we need more experience and practice on. And one disclaimer here, though, I want you to be careful with this, because you may be looking for a good game and you may analyze your own games and you may automatically just say, oh, I know why I lost this game. I know why I lost this game because of this stupid reading mistake or of this stupid reading mistake. But you do that too many times and you may be missing out on a bigger cause of those problems. Sometimes we make these bad reading mistakes, but we create an environment in which these bad reading mistakes are easily occurring. So we'll go through the rest of the steps of reviewing, but the review process will help us find those deeper reasons why we're making these bad mistakes. But overall, just the first step is to play a solid game where you feel like you've played to the best of your ability. You didn't make any kind of crazy error that spoiled the entire game. And obviously, it's going to be good to try to review every game. But if you're not reviewing all of your games, then in order to find the best games to review, then this is what you're looking for. Something where you feel like you've played to the best of your ability. You've cared for the game, and maybe it's puzzling to you why you lost. So that's what I think is a good game. And so our second step this is the bread and butter step. It's blind annotation. This step is, I think, essentially the core of self-review. And it's when you go through the game that you have recorded without AI, without anything. And you go move by move, and you're essentially journaling through the game and writing down what you think are your mistakes and what you could have done better. And maybe marking down things that you don't know. Bookmark anything that you don't know for future research. And also review your opponent's moves, what mistakes they had and what they could have done better. Now this could be kind of overwhelming. There's so many moves in a game, right? Hundreds of moves. And so maybe the first thing you might want to do is just go through the key points, right? Usually a game will have a Joseki question, right? You have a certain situation with a Joseki that you didn't know exactly if it was the right way to handle. Maybe you can ask a couple of those questions in your game. And then you have very key moments in the game that you can remember that you were wondering what you should have done in those situations. And this is part of the step one of playing a good game, is while you're playing the game, keep mental note of things that you're not sure about. And so later when you review it, you can go deeper in when you have more time and you're not actually under the pressure of playing your move. So go through the big moments. If you can't go through every single move, I mean, I don't think anyone will analyze to death every single move of a game. They'll kind of go through and try to find the big moments. And depending on how much time you have, how much effort you want to put in, you can either go through the game and annotate these big moments that you think are big, or you can try to, depending on how much time you have, you can try to do more and more of those moments. And typically what happens with me is that I'll go through the game and I'll figure out these very, very high tense moments that I was wondering about and things that I knew were my big mistakes. But then while I'm doing that, I'll have more and more questions about other parts of the game. And so I'll write all those down. And so this step, again, is, I think, the most important step, where you just try not to look at AI, try not to look at any other outside things, and see what you can do in terms of finding insight about your game without help. And another important thing to do in this situation in this step, is to write down your thoughts and feelings and moves considered, if you can remember them. So not just, oh, this is better, this is bad, this is good, this is a variation that may have worked better, etc., things like that. But also write things down like, oh, this move made me feel very uncomfortable, or this move was something that at this point of the game, I wasn't sure whether to play A or B, and then write down A or B. And so these kind of thought process things can really open up what you were going through for the next steps that I'm going to go over here. Okay, so first we have play a good game. Second one is blind annotation. And third one is verification. So verification is kind of like the AI step, where you go and verify with AI what you have thought about your game and written down, right? So this is after you've already reflected as much as you can on the game and tried to find insight from self-reflection. Now you're going in with a reference, external help to verify your moves, right? Because sometimes you'll look at the AI and you'll see that it has found something that both of you were ignoring for the whole game. And if you can find that in your blind annotation step, that's great. If you can't, then Also great. AI will now tell you that this is something that you're not able to see right now. So look at all the questions that you wrote down in the blind annotation stage, verify the answer with AI, and go back into your SGF file and mark down what that insight is. And also just look through. Now you can look through move by move with the AI and your notes that you've taken and compare and verify your thoughts. And what I do sometimes is I'll have like a thought written on a move and I'll say, this is probably better, this is not, blah, blah, blah. And then I'll look at the AI version of the story and I will see that maybe the AI disagrees. And so on that move, underneath my own comments, I'll write AI : and then write in what the AI says about that situation. Okay. Oh, by the way, if you want a good AI tool, there are easy ways to do that now. You don't have to learn how to install Catago on your system or anything like that anymore if that's not something that you're comfortable with doing. AI Sensei has a great free tool, and I mean, I think for our purposes, that free tool is going to be great. But if you want to support AI Sensei, ai-sensei.com, you can go ahead and buy a plan, and you can increase the strength of the AI. And OGS also has an AI review tool in a similar format. And so once you've gone through, before that actually, not only will you use AI to verify your blind annotation, there are other resources in this verification steps that you should use. So sometimes AI can't verify certain things. AI can only, right now, the state of AI, it only looks at the whole board and tells you that what the best moves are for that whole board state. So sometimes what we have to do is isolate a certain corner and wonder, well, what's the best move in this Joseki? And maybe AI won't be commenting on that corner because there's another corner with bigger action, and AI won't be touching that corner. But you want to know what the best step for that local situation is. Well, this is where a Joseki dictionary may come into play. So you can look at a Joseki dictionary and try to see what the Joseki recommends in that situation. I typically go to the OGS Joseki dictionary first, but if that doesn't have what I'm looking for, I may look at Josekipedia. Sometimes Josekipedia has a lot more Joseki information in it, or I'll go to Wall Theory. Wall Theory, WALTHERI, is a tool. If you don't know, you should definitely check it out. It's an incredible tool with a large collection of pro games, and you can essentially search for a pro game just by playing out the moves of that game. And you can see the little moves highlighted as like which move is the most popular after this or that. And you can click a button to say that this is the, you want to look only at the local situation and find out what the pros are playing when this shape occurs, right? And these are all great tools to just see what is an acceptable move and see what is suggested in various situations. And finally, for this verification stage, something that I recently realized was useful is to use books. Now, books are not as dynamic or as interactive as all the other tools that I've mentioned, but sometimes they're very useful because they have a collection of kind of encyclopedic knowledge. And going into a book to look up a certain shape or a certain Tetsuji may sometimes be a lot more helpful than those other tools that I mentioned. So with all of these outside resources, whatever's most appropriate for your review at the time, these are all going to be great assets to be using for this verification stage. A lot of things that we didn't have before computer stuff came out, right? And so we're in a nice time to be living for self-review. Self-review is probably something that was a lot harder back in the day, But at the same time, it forced people to have more discipline to actually think about their moves rather than just immediately go on an AI review and just click through and go, oh yeah, that makes sense. Oh yeah, that makes sense. Oh yeah, that AI, of course, and just kind of nod along without really thinking about whether you really would have thought that made sense if AI didn't tell you that. So it's careful not to make assumptions about the AI analysis. And that's why the blind annotation step is so important, because you're not biased by the AI at that step. And so your true thoughts about what these moves mean to you can come out before you check it with somebody else. And that leads me to my fourth and final step, which is to review it or get a review from a stronger player. And this is the last step, and it's kind of an optional step. This is really not like a self-review step. It means that you're actually getting a proper review from somebody else. But the first 3 steps still apply, and having those 3 steps put in with the blind annotation especially can really help the stronger player understand your mindset and what you need to work on in terms of where your misconceptions are about the game and things like that. And this is a hard step because you may not always have access to a stronger player. You may not have somebody who can do this for you. And also, a lot of the time, stronger players, although they're stronger, they may not be very good at reviewing your game. They're separate strengths, and they may be stronger than you, but they may still lack the knowledge to review your game, right? And so it's good to get multiple opinions. And one way to do that is to post your game on Reddit, or there's an amazing site that I use called GoKibitz, GOKIBITZ.com. Is it .com? It is .com. Yes. And GoKibitz is just a Go reviewing website where you can post your game and people will just chime in and make comments on all the moves. And I found a lot of success with it. I posted a game, and almost every time people jump in to review. And I like to, whenever I post a game, I like to go down the list and see if there's any other games that I could review and so I can contribute to the community. I think the development of the website is defunct, but I think it's still fairly active, and it's one of my favorite tools for just getting a second opinion on the game. And a lot of the times a human reviewer will really just open up the game in a way that an AI will not be able to do. An AI will tell you optimal moves, but a human may look at your game and say, hey, you're playing so aggressive in all these places, unnecessary aggression all over the place. An AI will not tell you something like that. And it really something like a comment like that can really make you step back and go, oh, I didn't realize I was playing so aggressively. I should, try to be more defensive. Right? And I strongly encourage, because this is a very valuable step where you can get reviews from stronger players, and someone else generous enough to give you their time will go over your game. You should put in your due diligence before you try to do that. It's helpful for the reviewer to know that you have already thought about this game. And it's good to, if you can't always get a review from a stronger player, self-review your games until you're stumped. Self-review until you feel like you've completely squeezed all of the juice out of your game. And then you can go to someone else and they can open it up for you and add more value. And I don't think it's important to do all the time, right? To get a review from a stronger player, I don't think it's something that you have to do every single time with your games. But I think it's very, 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 very important to do it sometimes. You have to get your game looked at by somebody every now and then, because it's very possible for you to be running in circles with your games, and it just takes another person to tell you, hey, you're focusing on the wrong thing. So that's my 4-step process of how to review your own games. So to recap, number 1, play a good game and Try to play moves with a lot of thought put into them and don't make silly mistakes. Be well rested. Number 2, blind annotation. Go over your game and write as many notes as you can about your thoughts and what you think is good, what you think is bad, what you could have done better, what you're struggling with, anything that comes to mind that you think is noteworthy. Number 3, verification. Take your blind annotation you did in step 2 and go review it with some outside tool like AI, Joseki dictionaries, or pro games, books, anything that you can use to verify your thoughts, and write those down into your SGF file. And finally, review from a stronger player or a community like Reddit or GoKibitz. And hopefully you can start reviewing your games and putting this process into place. And it could be helpful for you. If you don't know how to review your games, you can try to use this 4-step process to get started. And you can leave out or, certain steps if you don't have time. It's not a very strict system, right? You can go ahead and play a bad game and review it, and you can still learn something, right? It's all up to how thorough you want to be and what works for you. And with that, I have a few Go news updates. In the European world of Go, Mateusz Surma 3P wins the Seago Grand Slam of 2023. That was held in Prague, in Czechia. Went to go undefeated to claim the Grand Slam and took the largest prize in Europe for Go, which is 10,000 euros. Just to give you a little bit of a comparison, the US Open Masters top prize is 5,000 for first place. So Europe has I think a slightly larger, it's double the US prize, but neither of those compares to the Asian prizes, as we'll see in a bit. Speaking of Europe and Asia, the upcoming Samsung Cup, for the first time, a wild card nominee has been given to Andriy Kravets from Ukraine, a European player. So the first time a European player, I think, was invited to this World Go Championship. And it's really exciting to see that. And hopefully, we can have this Western representative do well in this tournament. Just to, give you a comparison of this like 10,000 euro prize. In this tournament, it's more like over $200,000 US. So the stakes in Asia are quite a bit bigger. Shibano Toramaru defends his Meijin title in the 48th Meijin against Iyama Yuta in a 4-2 victory. The prize money for this one is over $200,000 US or 30 million yen. And Shibano Toramaru won the Meijin tournament last year, and so this is his second year as the Meijin. Last year was also against Iyama Yuta in 2022, and he won that one in a 4-3 record. There was, as always with the Japanese domestic tournaments, they always post photos of the food that was served to the staff and the players, and the food actually looked pretty good. I feel like in the recent years, maybe it was a COVID thing, I was not really the food did not look very appealing, but the food looks really good in this one. So it's a funny thing. It's a funny thing to comment on, but it's always a conversation topic, kind of just like how if you look at like Hollywood runway stuff, they always talk about what people are wearing. Some superficial stuff for us to talk about. And one last bit of Go news. Shin Jinzo wins 100 games in a single year, and that's the first time that's ever happened where a professional has won 100 games in a single year. And the 100th game that he won was when he defeated Kimunji 7P. And he is aiming for another goal by the end of this year to win 90% of his games, and that would be a big milestone for him. Right now, his win rate is 89.86%. And so we'll see how that plays out. He still needs to play in the Samsung Cup. But 100 games in a single year, that's already a great achievement. And with that, it's time for some listener mail. All right, we got a listener in Norway named Nicola who writes, "Hello, Justin. I just listened to your 11th episode, and you're surprised to find the win rate of black being quite low on OGS. I wanted to point out something that might alleviate your confusion. There are two quirks of the OGS matchmaking, which I believe are responsible for this asymmetry and make your data analysis quite plausible. The first one is that for games with enabled automatic handicap, the handicap is always the rounded down rank difference between two players, meaning that if, say, a 3.5Q and a 6.4Q are matched, their rank difference within the OGS system is 2.9 stones, but that still results in only 2 stones handicap. So the automatic handicap method always favors a lower handicap, increasing white's chances. But the main reason for the discrepancy, especially at even games, is that when choosing a color on OGS, you get the choice between automatic and random, where automatic is the default option. The difference is that while in random, the colors are actually assigned by chance. In automatic, the nominally weaker player will always play black. This is the main reason why the game statistics on OGS are lopsided, and to be honest, I wouldn't really know how to account for it when handling the dataset, as there is no way to tell how much of the effect is attributed to the weaker player always getting black. Perhaps it is possible to filter out the games for color preset being random. This still wouldn't help with the fact that the handicaps tend to be slightly too small. Greetings from Norway, Nicola." Thanks so much for writing in, and that does help with my confusion quite a bit. I actually thought of the rank difference thing, because I think that one way you could filter it out is that you could try to organize the data in such a way where it accounts for how much of a difference in rank there was. And so you can compare the amount of handicap stones to the rank difference, and you can kind of analyze those, sets of data. And that may be helpful to getting more insight into how much the handicap stones are really doing in the win rate. But it's a bit of a headache to try to analyze. But that's very helpful, and I think you made a lot of great points. And I don't know, maybe it's a problem on OGS that we're giving the weaker player a disadvantage, kind of, by giving them black. I don't know, maybe someone else has a better idea on how this system should work out there. Anyway, thanks for writing in, Nicola. Plixik716 writes, "Great episode." And by the way, we're talking about the handicap episode if you haven't picked up. "Great episode, and some very interesting points you made. I hate to play with handicap because it does make me play more defensively, which always feels bad to me, and I like to play against it because it allows me to practice invasions and reductions, which I always want to do. If I'm the weaker player, I prefer to play evenly and try to improve at how many points I'm losing by. It seems more productive to me to play with a clean board and learn the real Joseki and flow of the game rather than the uncommon handicap setup." Thanks for writing in. That is, you're kind of right on, right with me with how I feel about handicap games. Though some of the stuff you said, it really just kind of reminds me that whether you play on a blank board or a handicap board, you're going to start practicing different skills. And I guess maybe it's good to play handicap games now and then to practice those invasions and practice keeping your lead. Again, thanks for writing in. Kaepsel337 writes, "I like playing with handicap. This goes back to your episode about the importance of winning. When I play an even game against somebody that is significantly stronger, I don't really expect to win, and I accept from the beginning of the game that I'm going to lose. Conversely, when I'm the stronger player in an even game, I can't say that I'm giving it my best effort. It can still be fun and educational, but it's more a lesson than it's a game. Making the game 50-50 with the handicap is much more exciting. I know that I can win if I'm playing well. Also, I don't think a handicap diminishes a win at all. The feeling of I won only because of a handicap is entirely compensated by I won against a Don player, or I won against a DDK is compensated by I won despite the handicap against me. After all, before the game, there was only a 50% chance that I would succeed, and just from personal experience, I have to say that the handicap system works surprisingly well, even up to 9 stones handicap. I was skeptical that it would be linear across so many ranks, but it seems to actually work. Thanks for writing in, and I think you made a lot of great points. I think that whole thing with the reverse perspective that you say that it actually enhances your experience is a point that I tried to make in that handicap episode. And it is very impressive that it does work very, very nicely across ranks. And you know what? With as imperfect as it is quite a nice system. I do agree with that. And it's just I don't know. It's a very elegant system, and I think I also agree with you. Even though like I prefer to play the open board games. Handicap, if you're really about the winning, the tension of the win, like whether who's gonna win or not, then it's perfect for you, right? If that's something that you care about more, then handicaps are great. So thanks for your point of view, and thanks for writing in. Brilliant Resource says, reverse Komi takes away motivation for the weaker player to try to win on the board because it seems impossible. I think that is why additional stones are more popular. Again, great points that we're making here. Yeah, I think that there is something satisfying about trying to actually win on the board instead of like this invisible handicap. And so yeah, thanks for writing in. Bobby Dibby writes, whoa, I was wondering about some things for a month, and you just gave me the answer. See, IGS has its own way of handling handicaps. First, the ranking systems add half ranks between integer ranks, so a player can be 9Q or 9Q plus, 8Q, 8Q plus, etc. And the handicap system functions like this. If the rank difference is a half, so or 9K plus versus a 9K, or a 9K versus an 8K plus, then there is simply no Komi. If the rank difference is n and a half, and there is no Komi, and black has n handicap stones, so 9Q playing against a 6Q plus will have 2 stones, and white will have no Komi. If the rank difference is 1, like a 9Q versus an 8Q, or 7Q plus versus 6Q plus, then there is a reverse Komi, 5.5 points for white if I remember correctly. If the rank difference is n, then there is a reverse Komi, and black has n minus 1 handicap stones, so a 9Q playing against a 6Q will have 2 stones and 5.5 points of reverse Komi. I always found this system weird, and you just made me realize why it's actually clever. Now the handicap is spread evenly. The advantage given by each stone is the same. The absence of Komi is treated as a half handicap, which makes sense. As such, it gives a reverse Komi for a 1 rank difference. Also another reason why IGS is the best server, but that's another matter. Thanks for writing in, Bobby DV. I've actually never played on IGS. That's one of the servers I've never tried, and with your recommendation here, I'm gonna have to try it. That is very clever and well thought out, and does seem to account for the weird handicap difference that you get with our current system. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. Although I think the only disadvantage is trying to calculate half ranks, and actually, yeah, where's the threshold? So I'm not sure, but it seems like it works. It does seem like it's more accurate than the regular system. Thanks for writing in and sharing. I'm gonna have to try IGS and let you know how that feels to me. And you know, I actually got a lot of comments on this episode. There was like a huge Reddit discussion that I'm gonna be honest, I did not completely read, but maybe I'll go through it and see if there's any cool, interesting stuff to talk about in there. But I guess handicap is a very complicated and thought-provoking subject. So thanks for everybody who wrote in. Sorry I couldn't get to everybody this week. And I have a question of the week for you. If you want to be featured in a future episode, do you review your own games? And do you have a specific method? What insights do you have on reviewing your own games? I would love to know, especially for personal reasons, to see if I can improve my own method. So comment wherever you're listening or wherever you found the podcast, whether it's on Reddit or on YouTube, or you can shoot an email to starpointbaduk@gmail.com. That's starpointbaduk at gmail.com. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you, and please keep playing Go. See you next time.